Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. As Jesus and his disciples were gathering in Galilee, Jesus said to them, "The Son of Man is to be handed over to men, and they will kill him, and he will be raised on the third day." And they were overwhelmed with grief. When they came to Capernaum, the tax collectors of the temple tax approached Peter and said, "Does not your teacher pay the temple tax?" "Yes," he said. When he came into the house, before he had time to speak, Jesus asked him, "What is your opinion, Simon? From whom do the kings of the earth take tolls or census tax? From their subjects or from foreigners?" When he said from foreigners, Jesus said to him, "Then the subjects are exempt, but that we may not offend them, go to the sea, drop in a hook, and take the first fish that comes up. Open its mouth, and you will find a coin worth twice the temple tax. Give that to them for me and for you." The Gospel of the Lord. It is fitting that we recall Saint Maximilian Kolbe today in the wake of violence that's escalated in the name of white supremacy. Maximilian Kolbe, who offered his life in a concentration camp where there was great oppression and indeed racial prejudice. His response to racial supremacy and its prejudice, however, is to lay down his life, even for his oppressors. This is the vision of Christ. It's so counterintuitive to us. And yet this is the medicine of the Savior. And he calls us to do the same. And while, as far as we are concerned as Christians, this is the only response for such violence, it is ironic that they would be criticism and prejudice against anyone who heralds the name of Christian. So ourselves enduring a type of racial supremacy prejudice, except in this case, for us, it's religion. We treasure the medicine of salvation for the world, and we're also called to live it. In a sense, we become Jesus, that even if victimized by such crimes, our lives are offered as the tax and the ransom for the world in Jesus Christ, because that is what he did. He paid the tax with his life and then some, with his whole life. This makes Jesus real to us. It makes God real to us in Jesus as a God who is so personal and so loving. And you see that displayed here in the book of Deuteronomy, in our first reading. "Yet in his love for your fathers, the Lord was so attached to them as to choose you, their descendants, in preface to all other peoples, And so the Lord chooses us. He chooses us to be bound to him, not in a way that is designed to oppress us, but a binding in the form of a loving Father who wishes that our lives would grow and become the fullness of what they were meant to be, to share in the vision of his glory in heaven, to literally be like him, not him, but to be like him. And we assent to this path by being like his Son. And so we do need to put aside, yes, all prejudice. But that's not enough, is it? That only comes to a perfection when putting aside prejudice is also bound to the love of Christ for the world.
Regina Celi, letare